didn't give up. With a suitcase full of dreams and $20 in his pocket, he headed to Hollywood to make his dream come true. With popular characters like Mickey Mouse and Snow White, his animations became a huge success. In 1955, another dream of Walt Disney came true. The amusement park Disneyland opened in California. Today, there are 11 Disneyland parks around the world, and the Disney company continues to produce new series and movies. If you can dream it, you can do it. J.K. Rowling. This is definitely my favorite success story. Rowling lived in Edinburgh, England, as a single mother to her daughter and struggled financially, but never stopped writing. On a delayed train from Manchester to London in 1990, she wrote her initial Harry Potter ideas on a napkin. In 1995, she finished writing Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and submitted the book to 12 published houses, all of which rejected it. A year later, she finally got a yes, and the first book was published. In 1999, the first 3 books of the Harry Potter series took over the top 3 slots of the New York Times bestseller list. By the summer of 2000, the 4th book in the series became the fastest-selling book in history. Rowling became a billionaire, though now she isn't because she has donated a large portion of her money. She continues to write books, and Harry Potter is still popular worldwide, with books, films, theme parks, and more. We do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better. It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. The lessons I learned from these stories are: everything is possible. Just believe in yourself and work hard. Find inspiration and take actions. Don't take no as an answer, and don't ever let others bring you down. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit a subscribe button to see more inspiring videos in the future. Till next time.
ఈరోజు మనం టాపిక్ మొదలు పెట్టక ముందు ఒక కథ చెప్పుకుందాం. Reunited at last. mother sees her chick for the first time. She's keen to start parenting, but the father needs persuading to surrender the chick he's been caring for all winter. He must now put his chick at risk. In these temperatures, it could freeze in seconds. The male will have to let go. Eventually, the transfer to the mother is safely made. The chicks grow quickly on a diet of fish and squid. Soon, they're keen to explore, always with mother in tow. This chick is less fortunate. Its mother has not returned to claim it. Another orphan is searching for a new family, but this female already has a chick of her own. Some orphans receive too much mothering from penguins whose own chicks have not survived. The urge to parent is so strong that they will compete with one another to adopt any chick they find. Many of these squabbles end in tragedy as the poor chick is trampled to death. Those chicks that do have parents quickly learn survival skills. Even in spring, they must huddle together for warmth, just as their fathers did in the depths of winter. A group of chicks has got lost in the blizzard. Cold and disorientated, they search for the colony. It will not be long before the storm claims its first victims. early summer, the chicks are surprisingly well developed and now look ready to take on the world. Those that survive their first year have the best possible start in life, thanks to the extraordinary hardships endured by their parents. Parents who battled with the Antarctic winter and won.
For an idea of the scale of the supergiant we're here to find, I've got a selection of skulls. This one belongs to a black bear, and these are found right here in California, but it's totally dwarfed by this one. This is a grizzly bear, and the canine teeth on this one are about as long as my thumb. This is in the record books as being the largest land predator on Earth. So, this gargantuan skull must surely come from some prehistoric dinosaur, a saber-toothed cat perhaps. Well, actually, this supergiant is anything but extinct. In fact, they're increasing in number. There's said to be over 150,000 of them, and the best place to see them is on the beach just over there. These are elephant seals. It's pretty obvious where the name comes from. Maybe that size, the skin, and their extraordinary nose. They do just look like swimming elephants. Seals are the biggest seals on the planet. The largest can be 6 meters long and a whopping 4 tons. I want to see for myself why elephant seals have become supergiants. It's important to respect their personal space. Elephant seals rarely cross paths with people. But when they do, they can really throw their weight around. Up here on land, they're impossibly ungainly and out of place. Look at these trail elephant seals. There's still one part of their life where they're totally bound to the land. They come here to give birth, right? To find a man. It's the male elephant seals that are the real supergiants. They're over 3 times heavier than females. The males have to fight for mates. The bigger they are, the better their chances of success. Thanks to scientists from the University of California, Santa Cruz, I can get hands-on with one to see how it's equipped for battle. He's been sedated while the team attach a radio transmitter. It's remarkable. As the animal's breathing, you can hear the air resonating around that huge nose. Feel the vibrations coming up through the ground. It's like someone revving a big motorbike right next to you. Inside that mouth are 4 canine teeth, a little bit like that. Particularly the 2 on the lower jaw are angled forward like this and can be used in a stabbing motion. If that was propelled at me, I wouldn't last a second.
In the tropical forests of New Guinea, one male is dedicated to making an unforgettable first impression. The 6-plumed bird of paradise is cleaning his display ground. He obsessively tidies every fallen leaf. The stage must be meticulously tidy for what will be an incredible performance. A few attractive berries to help decorate the floor. His final touch is hardly ever seen. Might he think he's found a bit of old snake skin? Some scientists believe he's trying to add the scent of a snake to ward off predators. For others, it's a cleaning cloth and he's polishing a perch for a female. Later, he uses a bigger bit of rag and does the same. Only strong, healthy and well-fed males can afford the time and effort for the most meticulous preparation. And in theory, they're the ones with better genes to pass on. You have a highly critical audience, so it's time to rehearse the main act. His dance steps perfected, he's ready to start the show for real. He spots a female nearby, so quick he goes to get more berries to tempt her in. Disaster! He's left his polishing rack on the dance floor. It's perfect for her nest. She flies off without even seeing his dance. He delivers his berries too late. He never got a chance to win her heart, and he lost his precious polishing cloth. Back to work. Spinosaurus is a predator, the one that hunts in water. It's Ichthyophagous, a fish eater. This is Onchopristis, an 8-meter-long giant sawfish, similar to those alive today. The saw-like rostrum is lined with lethal barbs and is in itself up to 2.5 meters in length. It's thought they migrated into freshwater rivers to breed, where the young may be safer, but the adults are exposed to new threats. With the breeding season at its height, these rivers are filled with Onchopristis. It's the perfect hunting opportunity for Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus's conical teeth evolved to grip prey rather than tear off flesh. For that, it needs powerful arms and claws. With prey plentiful, Spinosaurus can afford to be wasteful, a fact which other dinosaurs take full advantage of. Rugops, an 8-meter carnivore. Anywhere else it might dominate. But here it is dwarfed by Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus is unique, with long, narrow jaws and nostrils set high on its head. Its teeth were straight and conical, They gave us a clue as to how it killed. More evidence came in 2008 when Spinosaurus' skull was put through a CT scanner. It revealed a curious pattern of holes and sinuses in the snout that looked just like those of crocodiles. It's thought these contain pressure sensors. Sensors that, like a crocodile, can detect prey, making it perfectly adapted to hunting in water. This discovery gives us our best evidence of exactly how it hunted. Able to hold its snout in the water because of its high nostrils, it can strike without even seeing its prey. The character of the forest changes as it descends, becoming ever darker and damper, favoring different kinds.
Good morning, Mr. Adedayo. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Lukman.
We waited for 30 minutes and no one has joined. I'm only seeing messages on WhatsApp. I'm joining now.
Wow.
I think it is advisable we start. Whoever will join us.
Okay. I'm even thinking whether we should reschedule, and then not to discourage you. But if those ones are, I don't know how many responses you've heard. If they can join us along the line, no problem. Though I'm free for now, I'm just thinking about you holding you on indefinitely. Maybe I want to appreciate the effort. And I think what we can do next time is I will also need to send it to the welfare department of my ministry, which has a list of retired and about retiring officers. I'm also sorry, I just thought of it too. I know you must have heavily mobilized, but then our responses might be low until we get to the bridge. Maybe that is what many of us consider, but some of us are desperate to know the going sons around the retirement area. So I appreciate this effort, and I want to enjoy you not to be discouraged. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, sir. Truly, I'm not discouraged. I understand the Nigerian style. At times, things people don't come up in time. They come in very late, even for online meetings. But just 30 minutes, I think it's enough, and if possible, more than enough. I wouldn't know if I can just go ahead to do a short presentation for today. Then I'll leave a link to download it online, so that by next month we'll be coming for another session, which will be much more fuller and part one.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that information.
Okay, yes. Truly, some PDOs have spoken to me. They would like to make, they would like to have notifications like a month ahead and the likes of the likes. So we've started conversation behind the scene for another edition next month. But I think that will be towards the end of next month.
That's
so. Let me start by appreciating God for making today a day. For us in Nigeria, we are much more appreciative because we simply believe everything is fine. Although behind our continent, there's been a bigger issue within Russia and Ukraine, in which Russia started bombardment of Ukraine yesterday. So officially, Russia versus Ukraine has gone beyond an aggression to a bombardment as at yesterday night. So we thank God for making. You want to say something, sir?
What's going on right now?
There's been a lot of bombardment since yesterday night, shelling of rockets and the likes. But why I'm mentioning this is because we are thanking God that we are seeing everything as peaceful, or that our own locality is peaceful, and that we pray that peace will return to all parts of the world where there seems not to be peace at this time. Amen.
Amen.
So to start properly, firstly, I want to discuss what the contributory pension scheme is. And many do not know what the contributory pension scheme is. Many assume it's a scam. Many assume one thing or the other about it. However, the contributory pension scheme came up out of the fact that the government realized that they began to have a lot of retirees and they are finding it hard to manage many of those retirees, particularly coming for verification where they queue for hours to get their pension and the likes. Some even in some agencies will not get their pension for 1, 2, 3 years and more. And they began to realize that a lot of things were going on behind the scene that needed to be resolved. So government looked around for what they do in other parts of the world, and they saw the contributory pension scheme, a very similar scheme like that. So what does the contributory pension scheme hope to do? It hopes to, one, put the pension industry in the hands of the private sector to ensure that the government prepares ahead of time, sets aside funds for the retirees' pension or for the civil servants' pension, while the civil servants or the person in service as well also sets aside part of his or her earning into his or her pensions. So that way, it will be a contribution from the employer and also from the employee. The third part, which might be included, especially for people who started service before 2004, that is those who joined service before 2004, they already have what they call an accrued rights. That is the rights, the pensions in which they are expected to have had over the period of time in which they've worked. So from 2004 onward, when the contributory pension scheme was initiated and implementation started properly, some organizations started adoption in 2004, some adopted in 2005, 2006, and I think the last set adopted in 2007. So during this period, before this period, there was a particular amount in which every person working in the service was expected to have accrued as a pension right. So they call it accrued rights. So if we look to our statements, the statement which is sent by our PFA, that is the Pension Fund Administrator, you would realize that the first sum that usually comes in, or at times in some places you see this as the second sum, is the accrued right. It comes in as a lump sum, no matter how small it is, but it comes in together that, oh, during this period, between the time you started service, joined service, and 2004 when you adopted, or 2005 or 2006 or 7, that this is what one is entitled to. Then from that time onward, there will continue to be a deduction from one salary, which one will see on the pay slip, and the other part of the deduction from government, which will not be reflected on our pay slip, but which is expected to be domiciled in our RSA. Okay. After this, over a period of time, you have contributed, the government is expected to have contributed. Please note my word, the government is expected to have contributed their own portion as well. So upon the time of retirement, one is now expected to access the funds. Funny enough, for us in this part of the country, or in this part of the world, the part in which the government is expected to have contributed, in most cases, has not been added to our retirement savings accounts. So what we usually see in the monthly statements that we get from the PFA is just our accrued rights and the part in which was contributed by us in service. However, for those in the private sector, luckily many of them, their employers usually contribute their own time and their own portion at the right time. So you come to realize that for them, they already have the employees' parts and the employer's part, plus their accrued rights all together in their retirement savings accounts. So the retirement savings account is just like a bank account, which is open for the purpose of pension, keeping our retirement money simple. So I'll say the pension is guided, or the pension industry is guided by, firstly, PENCOM, that's the National PENCOM Commission. We call it PENCOM in short words. Also, NICOM. NICOM is the Nigerian Insurance Commission of Nigeria, the National Insurance Commission of Nigeria, which is also a stakeholder in the pension industry. Also, we have the PFC, the Pension Fund Custodian. Pension Fund Custodian. The custodians are just the managers of the fund, while the PFA, which we all know, the pension fund administrators, are the ones that are in charge of the collection. So once the PFA does the collection, it transfers to the custodian. It is at the point of the custodian or at the base of the custodian that investment and every other thing is done with our money, and we eventually get returns on investments on an annual basis. So also in our statements, we'll be having what we call the returns on investments. The Pension Reform Act 2004 is very similar to the Pension Reform Act 2014. Though, just like we understand, most laws in Nigeria are expected to be reviewed every 10 years. And for that reason, Pension Reform Act 2004 was completely reviewed in 2014. Just like we all know that there is an ongoing review, mainly championed by some industries or some agencies, MDAs in the industry. And eventually, if the review becomes successful, it will only become effective from the Pension Reform Act 2024. So I know many of us have been hearing a lot of news about police taking their pension issue to the National Assembly, that they want a deduction of 75%, not 25%. I will come back to that later. Basically, the Pension Reform Act was set up to protect, one, the retirement savings of retirees, two, to protect people retiring towards ensuring that they don't exhaust all their funds immediately upon retirement, three, to help plan for a continuous pension that will reduce and review the burden of managing pension on government. So for all those reasons, the Pension Reform Act, a bulky document, came up. And the Pension Reform Act has started working since then. So just like I said, we have Pension Reform Act 2004, 2014, and 2022. 2024 coming up. Yes. Luckily, or let me say unluckily, so many people working in service do not even know about the Pension Reform Act or do not know the content of the Pension Reform Act. And at times when they get to talk to some of their colleagues who are expected or believed to know about the Pension Reform Act, they get some information that might be conflicting or contradictory. So for such reasons, I encourage us to just Google the Pension Reform Act. Most likely you'll see the Pension Reform Act 2014 come up from PENCOM's website. Let me try to share my screen and show us what it would look like. Okay. If we type on Google Pension Reform Act 2014, it will come up with this. I don't know if you can see it on my screen. Pension Reform Act 2014. Just look for the one that comes from either PENCOM. That means the site on that particular document is showing pencom.gov.ng. That is a copy of the Pension Reform Act from PENCOM. Or you might also find another copy on the National Assembly's website. These are comments. Okay, let me just. So you most likely find another copy from National Assembly's website. I know they used to have some copies uploaded. So usually you see from nans.gov, something like that. Okay. Once you open it, it will open a document like this. Let me try to expand this document so we can have a clearer view. And it's a 64-page document. So from this document, we can scan through what the Act has and what the Act expects us to do. However, just like I said, we'll be running in brief today. The most important part of the Act, in which we used to encourage retirees or encourage people in service to understand properly, is the parts that really dwells on how we retire, what we do when we retire, and things we should have at hand when we retire. There are a list of documents which I would list out that you should have when you, or before you retire. You should have your letter of appointment. You should have every letter of promotion in which you had at one point in time or the other. You should have, if possible, your complete record of service. And at the point of retirement, you are also expected to have your letter of retirement.
Thank you.
At regular intervals, you'll be seeing statements from your PFA, that's the Pension Fund Administrator, telling you that you have a particular amount or the other already domiciled in your RSA, that's the Retirement Savings Account. So upon retirement, one is expected to keep all these documents, although the Act was designed in such a way that immediately one retires, one can begin to access one's pension. But the reality is that the part of the contributions expected to come into your RSA from the government might not be in your RSA. So you would have to wait for a specific period of time for government to release bonds to pay the parts in which your RSA belongs to, or let me say the month in which your RSA belongs to. So at the point of retirement, when you hear government pays bond for this, they will tell you the bond was this particular amount and covers retiree from this particular month to this particular month. So those who have been covered in the bond being released by the government will now be the one that can access their retirement benefits. So in Nigeria, for federal government, it takes about 1 year, and at times, let me say within 9 months and 1 year, 6 months, after retirement, for one to be able to access one's retirement benefits. For those who are federal employees, it takes that long. For those who are in the states, different states have different times. Like for those in Lagos, majority of them, it takes about 3 years for them to access their retirement benefits. However, for those who work in agencies that are revenue generating agencies, the way it is structured in Lagos is their agency, out of whatever revenue generated over the course of the year, should remove a specific percentage and use it to settle retirement benefits of their employees. So for agencies that are revenue generating agencies in Lagos, they usually get their own retirement benefits faster than those who are in the mainstream ministry here in Lagos. The same applies in different places. While for those in private sector, most of them get access to their pension, usually maximum of a month after retiring, which was initially the design of the Pension Reform Act, that there will be no delay in collecting one's pension after retiring. So yes, when the bond is ready, what is one expected to do? One is expected to move to the PFA and present relevant documents or requested documents to start processing. At this point, there is usually a challenge for most retirees. The PFA is expected to guide retirees on what to do or on how to access the retirement benefits, such that In the process of guiding, they are expected to explain what program withdrawal and annuity is, which are the two main options of accessing one's retirement benefits. If I would brief it, at the point of accessing the retirement benefits, in the past we used to have what we call gratuity, but the contributory pension scheme cancelled gratuity for what we call lump sum. Lump sum is expected to be a percentage of one's RSA, in which will be given to one whole sum, just like gratuity. The percentage in which the contributory pension scheme has recommended is between 25% and 50%. So some metrics will be considered, which will make the PFA consider what particular amounts or percentage will be recommended to be given to the retiree. After those things have been put into consideration, then the PFA will recommend, you can get a specific amount as lump sum based on this percentage. For many, people used to want 50%, some even want above 50%. But I understand the money might not be as much as many people expect. But if I would advise from a professional point of view, I would say it is better to access the lowest one can access as the lump sum, then space the rest for the pensions. And the reason is basically because once you access the lump sum, whatever balance is left is what is spread over time for the pensions, which will now be spread either in program withdrawal or in annuity for one's pension. So what is program withdrawal and what is annuity? We will delve into this much more with time, simply because a lot of retirees get misinformed about what program withdrawal is and annuity. But let me start my definition from this, or my description, not definition, from this angle. Program withdrawal is a service offered by the PFA itself, while annuity is a service offered by the life insurance agency. Or let me say the accredited life insurance agency. Not all life insurance agencies run annuity. The problem we usually have in this part of the world is the PFA, who is in charge of program withdrawal, who want to tell the retirees more about program withdrawal and not about annuity. So at times they even tend to misinform retirees about what program withdrawal is and about what annuity is. I have seen instances, I have witnessed instances in which the PFA will tell retirees that program withdrawal is pension for life. But if we scan through the Pension Reform Act, where it talks about how, on which of the two, program withdrawal or annuity, one should pick. The Act simply defines what program withdrawal is, defines what annuity is, looks at the two extensively, talks about the advantages and disadvantages of each of the two. There is nothing in life that has an advantage that does not have a disadvantage, and leaves the retiree with the option to decide whether he or she wants program withdrawal or wants annuity. So, according to the Pension Reform Act, program withdrawal, I want to get to that particular page so that I'll be reading the exact words and we would understand much more better what it is according to the Act. So this is a program. So I'm almost there. Search is not working. Okay, yes, why I try to look for that. Let me mention a bit further that for every retiree, all retirees are expected or officially to be on fund option 4. Fund option 4, there are 6 fund options in which the PFA manages. Fund option 1, fund option 2, fund option 3, fund option 4, fund option 5, and fund option 6. Fund option 1 is for people who have joined the service and are new in the service within their first year and their 15th year. Fund option 2 is for people who are within their 15th year and their 25th year. While fund option 3 is for people who are from that 26th year upward to the point of retirement. Upon retirement, one's fund is moved fully into fund option 4. And each of the fund option is just to, or was designed just to consider the risk appetite of individuals and to ensure that whatever amount or percentage of one's RSA that will be used for trading on the stocks market or by any entity regulated by the central bank would not be too much. So on fund option 4 states that the maximum of 10% of one's retirement benefits, that is one's balance in the RSA, can be used for trading. Just trying to ensure that if anything goes wrong, even after investing, that the money doesn't go into the drain. So whatever will go into the drain or would come with a loss will be subject to just 10% of one's RSA. That's where I should stop. I'm going to use a scan copy. So I think I will have to 30 seconds, please. Okay, yes. I think I'm rushing to that screen and I have passed where I was supposed to stop. So I said, let me just read it. What program Odowa is and what amenity is, particularly from this document. This document is a document released by PENCOM annually when there is to be a seminar. And it states clearly on the point of program withdrawal is a product offered and administered by the pension fund administrator for a periodic payment to retirees based on the RSA balance at retirement and peculiarities of a retiree. If I will take that again, program withdrawal is a product offered by and administered by the pension fund administrator for a periodic payment to retirees based on the RSA balance at retirement and peculiarities of a retiree. While annuity is a product offered and administered by a life insurance company licensed by NICOM for the regular income in consideration for payment of a premium from a retiree. On the next line, the document states again that program withdrawal pays monthly or quarterly pension over an expected lifespan. Please let us underline that word, expected lifespan, clearly written, using the A55 mortality table. We all understand what mortality means, and there is a table called the A55 mortality table. It is used by both program withdrawal and annuity to do calculations. And using that mortality table, published by the Institute of Actuaries of UK, as amended. While annuity pays monthly or quarterly pension for life, as determined using the same A55 mortality table. One pays for an expected lifespan, while the other pays for life. The next line states pension is at least 50%. Okay, the pension as designed is expected to be at least 50% of, at least, that means minimum, 50% of the final salary at retirement. So let us assume at the point of retirement, one was earning 250,000. It is expected that based on all calculations, putting all metrics in place, one should not get less than half of that 200,000, which is at least 100,000. The same thing on annuity. Annuity is at least 50% of the final salary at retirement. The balance in the RSA is revised. Our program withdrawal, the balance in the RSA is reinvested by the PFA to generate income/funds for the retiree. And that is where we talked about in option 4. The balance in which one has in one's RSA is expected to be used to generate income or more fund for the retiree, subject to option 4, which can be either profits or loss is credited into retiree's RSA. So when there is a profit, the profit is credited into the retiree's RSA, and when there is a loss, the loss is also credited into the retiree's RSA. The premium, in the case of annuity, the amount used is now called premium. Premium transferred is invested in a central pool of annuity funds. Annuitants do not receive any RSA statements or annuity statement of accounts. So in the case of program withdrawal, you receive a statement of accounts which tells you over time that your money is either growing or falling, or the rate at which the percentage that is meant for investment is growing will be seen on your statement of account. While on annuity, you don't have any statements of account. For both program withdrawal and annuity on the next line, monthly pension and lump sum are in inverse relationship. Both program withdrawal and annuity, monthly pension are in inverse relationship. What they mean by inverse relationship is the more you get your monthly pension, the more you expect what is left in your RSA to reduce. So that's what they mean by the more you are getting on your side, the more the one on the other side in the purse is meant to reduce. Yes, also, I'll do a slide for this particular paper so that we can see it well in the next month's presentation. However, at this point, if I return back to our initial agenda for today, okay, yes, let me stop this. Okay, good. Both program withdrawal and annuity have their benefits and they have their shortfalls, just like I have said. The only reason why I tell people to take time to study the two and see where they think they will benefit from is basically around the returns on investments. Just like I said, both the program withdrawal and annuity are calculated using the mortality table just like annuity has 10 years as the guaranteed period, program withdrawal also has a guaranteed period, but not stated. But based on calculations on the mortality table, program withdrawal also considers minimum of 10 years as a guaranteed period. So it can be 10, it can be 11, it can be 12, it can be 10 years, 2 months, 10 years, 3 months, and above. So, however, program withdrawal do not usually use or emphasize the word guaranteed period because of the word returns on investments that come from the 10% that is used for investments. So when 10% is used for investments, if it comes with the profit is added as addition, and if it comes with the loss is subtracted as a subtraction. So if there is a subtraction, it might just eventually pull the 10 years plus some months backward, or 11 years plus some months backward. And if there is an addition, it will just take it forward by some months as well. So that is why the program withdrawal do not use the word guarantee period. But the guarantee period on program withdrawal is the time at which 90% of the fund is exhausted. So after 90% is exhausted, the remaining 10% is subject to either little addition or little subtraction. So if I would summarize, I would say the guarantee period for program withdrawal is the time at which the retiree stops collecting pension. At that point, the fund is expected to have been exhausted, in which the retiree is expected to have seen the monthly statements showing details of deductions and additions, or details of deductions on a monthly basis, and also the returns on investment at the end of the year. I would want to summarize on these notes by appreciating everyone who has participated in today's webinar. I know for next month, we'll most likely have more retirees come on board, although those who signified the interest were about 15, but today we are only seeing 2 of us on board. Let me especially appreciate the 2 of us who have joined today's meeting, that next month, God willing, we'll be having another one, and we'll have more retirees come on board. Thank you very much. I wouldn't know if we have questions. Let me attend to questions while I try to work within 1 hour of this seminar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lukman. Well, these are information that we don't have easily. Actually, it's supposed to be things open to us, and that, in fact, we should have digested it even long before we exit service. You are aware that I've exited anyway, and it's the difference between annuity and program withdrawal now is being clarified. But there's just something I want to plead, because the transcription on the screen did not truly reflect what the voice is saying, maybe because of phonics and other things. So I will plead, if it is possible, whether abridged or the original document, to make it available one way or the other. That can be discussed later, so that we can digest on our own. As also a professional, I, and maybe many others too, will rely on your guidance on which is best after weighing. But I know you wouldn't want to enforce it. But then, as a professional in that line, you can always tell us, if you choose this, these are the opportunities. If you choose this, these are the opportunities. We know many people are dragging. PFA will also want us to remain. Those also guiding on annuity will also say this is the best. But then, since you have been kind enough to bring up such webinar, particularly to educators, I think we can also hold you by the cloth that, as a professional in this, where should we choose? Which of these options should we choose? Thank you very much. And sorry for that attendance. I think as many as we can reach up to 2, we do. But the analysis is so clear. It's just for us There are lots of information that are shredded. Sometimes when government give information, we don't get it. So coming from the private sector is really good. The information is not really because for profit's sake, but so that many people can see more light, in all we are doing, so that some questions might not even need to come up. We're not really a reading public. I'm sorry to say that. Otherwise, we'll have researched into all this and we'll only be sharing knowledge. But this one you are giving us now is more from your end. For someone who knows little or next to nothing, asking or taking you to task, taking you up on some areas will be of little or no effect. What we'll appreciate, we'll know if this continues, many of us will get enlightened, and I do assure you that many people will be liberated from the shackles we find ourselves in. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for that comments. I really appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I would also want to state clearly that I'll send a copy of the Pension Reform Act to everybody, a soft copy via WhatsApp, while I still encourage us that it is online. I used to tell people to go and download it online in most cases, so that they don't have the assumption that I manufactured the document or that someone has influenced a copy of the document that one wants to forward to anybody. So I just tell people just to type on their Google Pension Reform Act 2014. The act will come up. You can download it straight away. You see that the first one that will come up is usually from PENCOM.
All right.
Usually it's the one from PENCOM. So you just download this. It's a PDF document. Most Android phones will open a PDF document and you will get the original copy from the source. So that when we are using it in subsequent discussions, we'll be referring to pages of what we all have with us. And it shouldn't look as if one person or the other manufactured or had influenced the copy he or she is holding. But notwithstanding, I'll send a copy to us on WhatsApp. That's a promise.
Thank you very much. I know there can be a difference. I know you haven't tinkered with it. Whichever we access first, yes, we will. I'll also try the online thing. Let you know. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sir.
I wouldn't know if Madam Rabia Mohammed has any question or comment for us before we round up. I can also see her in. Okay, I can't hear anything from my hand.
I think what I want to thank you for even the soft reminders that keep coming repeatedly up to today. Even this morning when you told us a few minutes time, I was already, I already put myself on the flat. We'll also appreciate by the time next monsoon is coming up, the soft reminders we will appreciate, so that will enable us to even think of one or two people who are in our shoes, so that and we will also need, maybe give us an option for people to choose. I don't know whether is it that the time is not too convenient for them or not, but I know weekends, Saturdays, because of ceremonies, might be difficult. So this time is good for me, but I know for some others too. Maybe as you throw it in, you can allow us, maybe suggest time and day, so that we will not look at where the majority tends towards, so that we can have it's a great effort, which if 100 attended, it will have been so beneficial. But I won't say it's a wasted effort, but I want to appreciate your resilience and even doggedness and that passion for this. And on our path as students, let me use this in quote now, we will try and disseminate to also make sure as many people, including some who work in the relevant areas in the ministries and MDAs, if they can key to it, so that some of them, I also want to tell you, they don't have sufficient information, and it will be a learning portal for them and for us as well. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Initially, I was planning to announce a date or another date for March webinar, but I would rather go by your suggestion, take a survey for the next 1 week, and we'll now know the result of the survey of when do we think is better and what time, what day of the week and time, so that we can all work with that and get something very fruitful out of it. Okay, thank you very much once again, sir. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope we digest what we have discussed today, though we'll still discuss them extensively in the near future. I want to appreciate everyone and appreciate God for keeping us alive, and pray that He continue to keep us alive in good health and in a wealthy state. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.
You too. Wish you all the best too. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye, sir.